Alright, looks like it's another DoNotGod video production, part 3 of whatever. The argument from the nihilist types. The nothing has value but what I subjectively say has value, or what I think has what I feel has value. Because if you do any thinking about value, then you realize what feels good might not be good. You can sort of figure that out, that you can't just eat Twinkies and plan on living very long. That kind of thing. Feelings are part of your decision making, your personal interest. But frankly, as you grow up, you learn that you have to do some more thinking. The first impression doesn't mean much. Stuff that doesn't smell good might taste good. These kind of arguments. And apparently some people just don't do any of that growing up stuff and just stay little kids saying, I want, and I want now, and I don't want to think about what I want. I just want it. That kind of thing.
Mostly disagreeing to agree. He complained about the term psychology, saying that the asymmetry claim, as I defined it, is not a claim about psychology. Well, that's just stupid.
Okay, well, it isn't just stupid, okay? I mean, it's clearly the asymmetry is a reasoned argument about the nature of these things we call pleasure and pain, and the fact that the pleasure is derived through gratification of needs, and that needs don't need to exist. And this is sort of an important feature of needs, that if they don't exist, they don't go into some prison and aren't tormented. So if something doesn't exist, it's not in a negative state, and that's the key point. But whatever. Again, this is not a useful conversation because we don't have any common understanding of up, down, left, right, forward, back.
Of course, the asymmetry claim is a psychological claim. It's a claim about the overall nature of subjective experience.
Subjective experience is a real thing that happens to real people. So again, it's clearly not an academic conversation. It's a conversation about real events that really happen. Conscious experience is a real event. It happens in the real universe over real periods of time, and there's just no way of negating it by putting the word subjective in front of it. The fact that individual robots are producing Coca-Cola, soda machine, doesn't mean the soda machine isn't still soda. It doesn't break any of that. Doesn't matter that they're all serving Coke. Doesn't matter. It's still Coke. We are having conscious experiences. That's what we produce instead of Coca-Cola. And it can be talked about in the real universe because they're real cans of real sentient experience.
You can define psychology as the science of mind and behavior, or the science of mind and brain. And either way, yeah.
No, psychology is related to the biological organisms' impulses and desires and fears and what we might call instincts and reflexes. So much of our psychology could be described about our emotional reflexes, adrenaline, flight, fight. Those kinds of responses are what I would say is fairly described as this psychology. Your passions, desires, preferences, as they are conditioned as part of your physiology, your what's the term they use for your overall state of psychology. I'll think of it later, and then I'll point it out.
Like that, about the nature of the overall nature of subjective experience, is a psychological claim. It is a claim about the mind, And
Yeah, the mind isn't a mushy word, so there's a brain, okay, and the brain can manifest things through hormones or through direct electronic pattern making, and it has these tendencies, as stated, built in, and there's the ones we acquire through education, and those are very different impulses. Period. I mean, it really isn't that complicated. The difference between a philosophy and a psychology. Okay, your psychology just has more to do with your allergies, so to speak. What kind of things trigger you in some sort of like styrofoam sounds, or you know, things like sorry, I'm tired. Fear of heights, different kinds of syndromes you can have that are psychological in the sense that they're happening because of some triggers that are very elemental triggers. They don't require any complex thought.
it's kind of about, the nature of experience. And that nature is going to be determined by the nature of the brain, by how the brain works, and how it interacts with the environment. But I guess
Yeah, and how it interacts with the environment is based on acquiring language, conceptual ideas, understanding a term like logic, mathematics, the fact that it has certain rules, that contradiction is illogical, things like this. So these are all very important distinctions between when you're playing one game, psychology, versus playing another game called philosophy. Philosophy would require you to obey certain rules about how facts can be combined, where your psychology just has an innate reaction that's either pleasant or unpleasant. That either makes you want to fight or run away.
Benham doesn't like the word psychology for some reason. And then he ranted for a while about how asymmetric life is, when I was just saying that Ethylism has this premise that life is asymmetric. And so then Mendham went on this big rant about how life is asymmetric.
No, I don't think I did any such thing. So again, that's his description of something. Why would I talk about life being asymmetric? It's not asymmetric in the sense that we are all running from a greater deprivation, and that's it. We're addicted. There's no asymmetry to addiction. So that's just a pile of nonsense.
Like he was disagreeing with something I just said. And then at the end there, he talked about my optimism. And he seems to believe, and this is elaborating on the imaginary opponent, but...
yeah, I didn't know anything about you, so I didn't know what kind of psychotic you are. So yes, you're clearly, it has nothing to do with optimism. It has to do with your preposterous ego. You apparently have some sort of bizarre notion of your own self-worth and your grandness and how special you are as a human being and how you need to procreate and all that kind of crap because you're just such a special human being. You're obviously... You have, just like all the sociopaths, you have a perverse and distorted perception of your own value. You're a sick puppy.
He seems to believe that I am a hedonist who thinks he can get more pleasure than pain. And I am not a hedonist. And
well, it's a silly thing to say. You're clearly in it, the game, for one purpose, and that is to conquer. So, in that sense, you're a hedonist. You're saying you don't like conquering? Well, it sounds like you do.
I think that I can get more pleasure than pain. I think they balance out over the long run. But I haven't...
Oh, they just do that magically. It's all magically delicious. I mean, it's just so silly. So for every human being, it all balances out in the long run. La 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 la. I mean, that's just such gooey baby talk. I mean, it's so ridiculous a thing for somebody adult to even argue. Clearly, there's huge disproportion in how comfort and gratification is allocated in this world, and you just to say something and it all balances out is just a silly thing to say.
About that yet. I haven't talked about what I believe at all. So Mendham is just making shit up. He said sort of...
That's your own fault, frankly. And again, the only subject I'm interested in is the subject of overview of evolution, the game of life, this mechanism, and whether anybody rational puts their seal of approval on it. Why would a rational being say, yes, Meat Grinder, the game Meat Grinder is a great game? Why? Why would somebody do that? They'd have to be insane. Again, they'd have to have insane values.
Go anywhere with the pleasure thing. Well, I never said we could go anywhere with the pleasure thing, right? And he talked about the hedonic treadmill, basically. He talked about you win the lottery and then after...
Well, what is all this he talked about? You played my video and you didn't respond to it when I was saying it. And now you're paraphrasing the video. Isn't that just so obnoxious? Why didn't you respond to it when I asked the questions? Well, how many turtles do I have to make? You kill for every adult turtle that survives. You're going to be God now. You're going to be responsible for the thing you're endorsing. You've put your seal of approval on it. Well, part of the responsibility of the seal of approval is you're going to have to do the dirty work. So how many kids, if I create a number of children who get cancer every year, how high do I have to go before you say it's too many? Will you answer any of those questions ever?
A week you want another $1 million. Yeah, I agree with that. That's the hedonic treadmill, and I believe in that. So who is he arguing against? The imaginary opponent. Which is the belief that pleasure is intrinsically good, pain is intrinsically bad, and nothing else matters.
Nothing else is that. So yes, nothing else is a value engine. Only a biological organism that can create these sensations by having them in their brain can do something called value making. Everything else is incapable. This battery just can't do it. It can only sit there and, it could grow legs and arms, and they could walk over to somebody and hug them and say, I love you. And so it could try to make something that does create value feel better. But that's all it can do. Okay, it can't make value. It can only create it in something else, cause it. It can only have effects on things that make value. So you kind of
So it's a simple argument. This is it. This consciousness thing is the only thing we know of that through trying to mimic value, the brain tried to mimic the idea of value to give our lives purpose. That is, to force us to be motivated. And so it was giving us the illusion of value. And in trying to give us the illusion of value, it created real value in the sense that it created real negative sensation. Not some idea of negative, but a real negative feeling. And that's the irony of it. In trying to synthesize value, nature created it.
that basic one up too. But yeah, that's the reason. Consciousnesses generate a valuable sensation.
Intrinsically valuable.
Yes, and it's undeniable by anybody rational, frankly. And if like I say, I'm personally testifying. I am conscious, so I know, okay, through personal experience. You really can't deny it. It's so overt in my face. I mean, it's like them trying to tell a witness they didn't see something when they saw it, okay? They sit there and saw the guy reach into the other guy's pocket, steal his wallet, blah, 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 and some asshole shows up and say, no, you're confused. No, I'm not confused. I'm conscious. I know how it works.
Okay, that was just more disagreeing to agree.
No, where's the disagreeing to agree? You're saying it's some subjective, irrelevant psychological opinion. It's not. It's an event. Suffering is a real event. It is not a nothing. It is not, I don't need somebody's testimony. Somebody doesn't have to say the words, I'm in pain. All they have to do is experience the pain. I mean, this is just such nonsense. You're negating the realness of suffering as an event. That's your key flaw. That's the key difference between our perception of reality. You think it's possible to negate its meaning. I, as a witness, I, as something conscious, know there's no negating it. I would certainly know that if you suggested I should be tortured for 1 billion years, I would protest and say that can't be a good idea. How many billions of organisms are you rescuing if you're going to force that on me? I would say, what are we getting in return for that? Because I know that's a real price. I know that would be a real negative. Now, I know you clearly will not volunteer to be tortured for 1 billion years for 10 cents. And you know it. You know you wouldn't buy that contract. So this is just horseshit. And all you're doing is saying that the contract doesn't apply to everybody else on Earth, when of course it does.
Very clear that Amendum situates value in pain and pleasure. Only pain and pleasure. And finally, altruism. The belief that we have a moral duty to others.
So again, I even used the two words, altruism, and then said moral duty. So again, and I've made so many videos pointing out how it's such a bullshit word. I've never used any concept of morality. I've only pointed out there's a value equation, and you're either on the right side of it or the wrong side of it. you're making too much negative, or you're not making enough positive, however you want to look at it. But that's right. It has
Yeah, it's just profit and loss. It's just a simple point of efficiency. And so the simple argument is, if I know other conscious beings, their value of their happiness is just as good as mine, their happiness isn't better or worse happiness than my happiness, is an event in the universe. It's just a fact. It's either a happy brain or an unhappy brain. And I can't play some silly game to think, oh yeah, my happiness is worth 100 million of them suffering, or some kind of nutty, silly, idiotic thing like that. It doesn't make any mathematical sense.
To do with moral duty. It just has to do with whether you want to be a piece of duty. Do you want to be something better than a piece of shit? That's the question. If you've already answered that by I don't care, well then yeah, you're going to fail to be ethically decent, in the sense that you're going to fail to be minimally functional. You're just going to be a fucking menace, a little piece of fungus, or a blight, a little plague.
Yeah, so that's apparently what he's satisfied to be, because he's negated the existence of any reality of this judgment being imposed, because he's making the claim that there is no real value to sensation. But he knows his sensations have value. There's every probability that he will evade very desperately and quite squirmily being run over, being harmed in significant ways.
All right, let's translate this. He said it has nothing to do with moral duty. It just has to do with whether you want to be a piece of duty. Do you want to be something better than a piece of shit? Okay, so what does he mean by a piece of shit? Well, he means selfish.
No, I mean inefficient. I mean, and inefficient, overtly inefficient. Overtly unproductive. The opposite of productive is destructive, actually. So yes, overtly destructive. Destructive to the, if this was a water filter, cleaning the water. Destructive to the good purpose of minimizing the expense and maximizing the profit.
Is something better than a piece of shit. Being altruistic, right? So that's what this means. Okay.
Again, it's not altruistic, it's just measuring the circumstance and saying what is the rational truth, what is the blood footprint. Again, how much can I consume, and how am I consuming it at what cost? Everything gets consumed at a cost. Is the cost efficient to what is being produced? So it's a simple equation. It has nothing to do with altruism. It has to do with logic.
It's like he's saying it has nothing to do with moral duty. It just has to do with whether you want to be selfish or altruistic. Okay? Then he says...
So again, those are not my words. So he just keeps insisting on using his rhetoric, his words, and keep putting those words in my mouth as if I would agree to that terminology, and it's just absolutely nonsense. Being not a rapist doesn't make you altruistic. Not raping doesn't make you altruistic. Okay? It just means that you're not making negatives. It doesn't mean that you're trying to make positives. So again, that's just too silly.
That's the question. If you've already answered that by, I don't care. So in other words, if you are selfish, if you have said, yeah, I'm selfish, well then, yeah, you're going to fail to be ethically decent, or in other words, morally good.
So again, in other words, and no, in your words. So we'll just say, in my words, morally good. I'd never call it a morality. It's not a dogma. It's just a simple equation. You either painted it blue, or you painted it yellow, or you painted it pink. You either did it or you didn't do it. Okay, did you meet the minimum standards of efficiency, or did you not? Did you pay, like you went into the bank to get change? Did you give them $10 in quarters and then get $1 back? One paper dollar. Did you make a fair exchange or an idiotic exchange? That's the question. Are you an asshole, or are you somebody who's efficient in making exchanges?
That you're going to fail to be minimally functional, or in other words, altruistic. You're just going to be a fucking menace, a little piece of fungus, a blight, a little plague, or in other words...
So again, now repeating my exact words somehow makes sense to him in a video. He played it, he didn't respond to it. Then he speaks it, and he still isn't going to respond to it. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Morally bad. So basically we can translate this as altruism is morally good and selfishness is morally bad.
Whatever. Again, so this is his translation, and again, the simple terminology wouldn't worry about any moral statements. It would just say you're either efficient or inefficient. It's that simple. If I kill my own twin brother, okay, or I rape him for my gratification, most people, most third graders, let's say, could understand, well, you're not really winning. Okay, your gratification came at harming something that's the same as you. Let's say it's a clone. It wouldn't make any sense. That's the point. Does your life make any sense? Is it sensibly efficient? And the argument being made here is that obviously it's not if you're not aware of how you're affecting all the other sentient brains. Then you're very likely knocking a lot of good china off the shelves to get what you want.
That's all this means. And in the Apple's version...
So that was the counter argument. Where was it? There's no counter argument. Even taking his silly wordage, his silly verbiage, where's his counter argument to the fact that, let's even say it's a morality? How has he unraveled that morality as being nonsensical? He hasn't. Even if I declared it as a dogma, how has he proven that it doesn't mean anything? That it doesn't matter how many other people I kill or hurt or torture as long as I'm happy?
We have a duty toward all sentient life. All right, now I'm going to expand on these foundations.
You have a duty to be rational and reasonable, and if you think it's reasonable to torture things for your pleasure, I'm saying it's unreasonable. That's the ethical duty. It's not any more complicated than that. You think you have some sort of right to take your food out of somebody else's hide. I'm saying, where did you get that right from? You didn't win it in any intellectual battle. You didn't win it by making a great argument. You just took it, frankly. Period. End of the story.
It's almost like, why do I even have to make a response video? I mean, the argument's already made right there. I made the argument better in the video he's responding to, and he hasn't touched it. Amazing.
Okay, so there in Mendham was talking about moral rights and duties. He asked where I got the right...
So again, I didn't say that. So again, this is just this insistence on saying I'm talking a fairy tale when it's clearly not a fairy tale. It's based on biology and a reality, a fact. Okay, and it's a fact I have personal knowledge of, so you can't, there's no way you're going to dispute my own testimony. That I'm conscious and I know there's a huge cavern of value difference between me having a cupcake and me having a nail shoved in my eye. I know that exists, and you're not going to make it go away by calling it subjective or say, you have a moral edict that makes nails different than cupcakes. No, I don't have a moral edict. I have a definitive, definite understanding.
Take my food out of someone else's hide. Well, what is he talking about? What right? What?
Again, so what is he talking about? What right? Again, I'm asking you, what right you have to take? When taking requires you to impose what you value, which is harm, and you don't want to be harmed.
Do I need a right to take my food out of someone else's hide? He seems to think I don't have that right. But what kind of right?
Well, exactly, that's right. You don't have the right to fit into any regime of being reasonable, logical, sensible, fair, decent, any kind of word that would describe a good functioning human. You fail to meet the standard for any of those things if you take, okay, without being able to defend your taking. So it's, again, like proposing some kind of plan. You go to the city council with a plan to change something, and the change is just going to create more people that are dead and hurt and injured on the streets. You know, like your plan is to get rid of all the stop signs. Your plan sucks, Okay, I mean, I don't have any other word for it, but to say, what sense would it make? So that's the same thing as saying you can only have the right to do it when it makes sense, and you can't defend it as sensible.
Is he talking about? He can't be talking about physics or biology, because in nature, might is right. If I...
All right, well, maybe I'll just end on that, right? Because do I need to go any further? Because we're not in nature, we're intellectual smart things. And we know that's not how the game has to be played and needs to be played and is sensibly played. That has nothing to do with it. Might does not make right. That is just idiotic. And it does not give rights. And it does not make something right. Might does not make it right. It's just a stupid thing to say. It's idiotic. Doesn't make it efficient. Doesn't make it superior. Doesn't make it Again, a computer could win in a computer battle, and the computer could actually suck. It could, be incapable of adding 2 plus 2. But because it took advantage of the fact that the other computer tripped, walking into the ring, so this is silly to say, because something wins, it means it should have. No, that's not true. So again, you're just too stupid you're too stupid. I can't see there can't be more than what percentage of the human race is this fucking dumb?
have the power to do something, then I can do it. So in that sense, I have the right to do it. Like physics doesn't stop.
There's no right. No, this isn't about whether you had the ability. Clearly, the word right and ability are two different words. We're not arguing whether you have the ability to rape women. We're arguing about whether raping women makes any sense. And clearly, in a sensible civilization, whether you should have any liberty to do so without being, properly punished to deter future misbehavior.
Lion from killing a zebra, right? Physics doesn't stop you from taking your food out of someone else's hide. Nature doesn't do that. In fact, that's how nature works. Nature's all these beings taking their food out of someone else's hide. So
exactly why I'm an ethicist. Yes, it's exactly the problem. It's stupid. It's like eating your own brother. It's like eating your own clone. It's like torturing and then eating your own clone. Why would I do that? That's retarded. Only something insanely stupid would say, oh yeah, that's a good deal, let me do that. No. Too stupid. You're too fucking stupid.
Clearly, amendment is not claiming that I can't do this, that the laws of nature prevent it. So what is he talking about? Is he talking about social laws or social rights?
It's talking about logic, for fuck's sake. I mean, I can't make it any clearer. I'm saying if you eat, you're consuming something of more value, in this case, than the value you're deriving. And it's clearly inefficient. You're gratifying a trivial need and causing non-trivial suffering. So if you were doing it to your own self, like I said, if the whole world was made of clones, you're telling me that you would logically think it's a good idea for me to do this might equals right thing. That you're going to win somehow. When you know you're losing. I mean, there's no other way to look at it as anything other than there'll be so many more losers than there will be winners.
Is he saying I don't have the right within society to go to the grocery store and buy a pack of steaks, fry them up, and eat them? No, he knows that.
I'm saying quite overtly that the fact that you have that right hasn't been defended. That trial never took place somewhere, did it? Was any evidence presented at trial that people had some right to do that? No. It's clearly a wrong, and it shows a grotesque inconsistency in our laws, where we'll worry about human fetuses that have no conscious awareness at all, and we won't worry about sentient pigs and cows and other organisms that are clearly highly developed in their awareness. So yeah, that's really, really stupid. It's really fucking ignorant.
That right? So what is he talking about? What kind of right? Well, clearly he's talking about a moral right. He has this idea that...
No. So again, I'm just not going to keep arguing it. The right and wrong are good words. Okay, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do. The right way is efficient, gets the job done. The wrong way is inefficient and doesn't get the job done well. It costs too much, too messy. Lots of things can be described that make it fail. Okay, and you can call it a wrong way to do it. And the right way is always going to have these consistent elements in it where it was efficient and it solved the problem and it didn't cost too much and all of that kind of thing. And that's what I mean by right. Right is a concept of deriving a sanction or a value based on its performance, functioning well.
There is this system of, rights and obligations that somehow exists just out there, and it's not built into nature. Nature doesn't impose this on me, and it's not...
Right. It's intelligent. It's not unintelligent. Nature's unintelligent design. We are capable of designing intelligently. We're capable of seeing the difference between putting the steel on the outside of the building and doing it backwards or doing it upside down. We can see how to do it the wrong way, and we can see how to do it the right way, and we can do it the right way. We can do better than making lean-tos. We can have Roman arches and do all kinds of other things because we can engineer better solutions. We're way better than nature at coming up with efficient ways to get from point A to point B.
Of society, it's not created by society, but it's still there somehow, somewhere, in some sense. Somehow there are moral rights that exist. Who knows where, who knows how, and who knows how they are supposed to be imposed on me, but he thinks that
No, this wasn't anything about imposing on you. This is about a judgment of you. The clear judgment is that you're an asshole, okay? A fucking piece of blight. That's what I called you, blight. All right, I didn't talk about doing anything about it. I just talked about the fact is we're going to label you. We're going to label you what you are, piece of shit. Okay, smart things will see you and say, what an ignorant piece of dangerous shit. And yes, I would say it's a good idea for us as smart people to, as a collective, vote to do something about shit. Flush it somewhere. Because it is a menace. It is dangerous. And it should be suspended from having influence. Yeah. So yes, I would vote for you being put in the proper camp.
exists within this framework, and I need to justify my actions within the system of moral rights and obligations. But what is he talking about? What is this? What is it?
I already described it all. So what do you mean, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you're abusing sentient organisms because you're not acknowledging, as you're obligated to do, their value, their substance. You're not giving them, you're not respecting the integrity of their capacity to be harmed.
It's imaginary. It's just something that he takes for granted, and that most people take for granted. Most people are naive moral realists. They think that morality is somehow baked into something, baked into...
Again, this is idiotic. I don't bake it into anything. I merely make one statement that consciousness creates value. When a sentient organism is experiencing sensation, value exists in the universe. And if there is nothing experiencing sensation, then there is no value, and it doesn't matter what happens. All outcomes are equal. Outcomes aren't equal when you can have outcomes that have more suffering in them or less suffering in them. Then the outcomes aren't equal anymore.
Oh, what? He thinks it's baked into logic, I guess. But he has never thought about it. So he's not aware.
I mean, what? It's been stated so many times. I mean, you're so overtly rude and dismissive in this kind of nonsense. All right, to say that I somehow haven't made this clear to you, that I value sensation in everything that experiences it. Anything that can experience sensation, I value its sensations, what it's experiencing. I think it has value. And if we can improve its condition and make it feel less pain, I'm voting for it. Wherever I can vote for that little gorilla feeling less pain, I'm voting for it. I'm voting for it. Wherever there's a ballot to vote for things being harmed less, I'm voting for it.
But it's an assumption. He just takes it for granted. And so he'll talk about rights and obligations, but if you say, and Mendon believes that you have a moral duty or a moral obligation.
So it's more crap. I am clearly saying you have a logical obligation to be obedient to the fact that your sensations are not more important than other organism sensations. And as soon as I accept that fact, I'm stuck because I value my sensations. I value not feeling bad, and I value very much feeling good, feeling better, improving my state of conscious being, feeling less worried and less all these tensions and all this other stuff. I value that very, very much. And I know if the other brains are doing the same damn thing, I know their welfare is just as important as my welfare. That's the logic. That's the end of the conversation. You somehow don't agree with that simple premise. You look into this little gorilla's eyes and you see nothing. You see a robot that can't feel. I don't see that. I don't see a piece of chalk. I don't see a battery. I don't see a tree. I understand there's a brain, that there's neurons, and there's sensations, and they're important. What it feels is important. There. We're done. That's the premise. That's the axiom. You don't agree, so we can't agree about anything. But it has nothing to do with morality, asshole. It has to do with statements about the truth. You think it's a lie that it matters what that animal feels. You think that's a fucking lie. I'm saying that's the deepest, most meaningful truth there is, and it's eternal. And if we ever make a supercomputer, it's going to say it right to your face. You're a fucking asshole. Maybe it'll mention your name as one of the stupid motherfuckers that made us a laughable joke as intelligences because they couldn't even figure out something this fucking obvious.
To be altruistic, like to minimize the suffering of others or whatever.
Again, I'm not asking you to minimize the suffering of others. I'm asking you not to perpetrate their destruction. So if you can somehow benignly live without taking anything, okay, without consuming anything's welfare, I'm saying great. That's a green footprint, so to speak. That's not a bloody footprint. So if you'll sit there and leave it alone, that would be fine. But you don't want to leave it alone. You want to steal from it. You want to take. You want to put that in prison. You want to torture that. You want to abuse that. You want to make a fucking pair of slippers out of it. All right? You want to take. If you were just saying, no, I'll just mind my own business, that would be fine, fuckhead. But that's not what you want to do. You raping piece of shit.
Disagree with that. So he basically disagrees with the presuppositions of his rhetoric when they are explicitly stated. Evolution. Life is intrinsically selfish and violent. Human beings do not transcend evolution or biology with our wonderful brains or anything else about us or consciousness.
So again, this is so silly. We transcend it. By the time you're 5 years old, you've already transcended it. You're already wearing clothes, figuring out how to go poo-poo in the toilet. You're figuring out how to do lots of civilized things, lots of things that are polite to other people. You're not just shitting on the floor so your mother has to clean it up or doing all this other stuff. No, you learn that, I can make a mess and messes are inconvenient for other people. So, 5-year-olds have figured out how to do what you can't figure out how to do. Master their nature. Yeah, we all figure it out, except morons like you. People who just want to shit in the couch. Lazy, creepy, motherfucking selfish pieces of shit. What kind of dumb bitch is having your kids? Spooky stupid.
I don't know. Again, transcending it would require you to compensate for it. So the simple truth is, it has these big negative features. Now, the argument is, does this car? Okay, this car pollutes and creates plague. Leaves plague behind. Little coronaviruses. It's got these huge negative liabilities. Now, your obligation is to point out what its positives are. It has a loud horn. It's just not good enough. Oh yeah, it has a really great horn. Yeah, no, not good enough.
Okay, well, to be fair, it is my view that we can't transcend evolution or biology.
Okay, so it's just too stupid. Again, like I said, we do it without even trying. We transcend it. So it's just so stupid. Really, I can't even. Everything about being an infant or a little kid. Every day you're learning some new way to transcend your nature. it's just so silly because you're learning from so many events. You learn that hitting somebody else makes them cry, and you learn that, I mean, you're learning it all the fucking time. You're learning these important life lessons about how to moderate your behavior because you're dangerous. You're learning how you're dangerous all the time when you're a kid. It's such a silly thing. This is stuff toddlers can figure this shit out.
Maybe I shouldn't have attributed that view to Mendham, or to Effelism. After listening to this, I realized that Mendham isn't a full biological realist. And I think that's true for most Effelists, that they have a few, magical unicorns.
Right. The magical unicorn is, I actually think intelligent is an insanely great tool. The fact that we can do mathematics and logic, the fact that our senses have been developed to get it right, to know where the tree is and to know how to navigate around it. Our scheming brain works because we needed to scheme in the real world. And so now we can just gather all these new facts and we can scheme the truth. And that's all the difference. All we have to do is change what we're scheming for. Dumb, ignorant gratification, or am I scheming for a plan for my life, where I win, because I make, I make the world a better place. Huge victory. That's what we can scheme for, is, much grander notions of productivity. I mean, way elevating our productive influence. And that's the win.
Hopping around in their worldview. They're not entirely realistic about biology. Now, what I meant by...
Right, so again, he won't cite any biological fact I have wrong. I know more about biology than this asshole does by a long stretch, more about evolution. So this is just, complete horseshit. I've missed some fact. We still have a lizard's brain. No, we don't. We still have a gorilla's brain. No, we don't. We don't have necessarily the size isn't the thing that matters. It's the arrangement and vocabulary, of course. But, I mean, clearly we're able to deal with concepts that these animals can't deal with. And that's just the truth. And that's all because of language.
Don't transcend biology, is that human nature is determined by biology. The brain is biology, and the form of the brain is determined by evolution.
Oh, right. So I'm just saying that for everybody listening to this video who speaks a rational language, can understand English, right, and doing all this stuff, they know this isn't true. They know that through their whole maturation, there was a tremendous learning process, and they gained incredible knowledge, well beyond anything nature gave them, or anything nature had any intention. So again, every time we use a condom, every time we clean our silverware before we eat our dinner, every time, I mean, we're always doing things where we're applying our greater knowledge for better purposes and outcomes constantly. So this guy is just so full of shit. I mean, the wheel is transcending nature.
And evolution is not only relevant to our past, it is relevant to our future. That is something I talk about a lot.
And well, then you're an idiot, because obviously our evolution biologically is over. You're not going to evolve. There's no pedigrees anymore, unless you plan on inbreeding or having your children inbreed. There's no hope, of any evolution for the human race. It's devolving. It's not evolving. There's no specialty, and there's no defining lines between breeding success and life function success. There's no correlation between those two anymore. The fact is, the more dysfunctional you are, the more likely you are to have kids. That's the new meme of our modern society. So evolution is well over. See, if you knew any biological facts, you'd understand that evolution doesn't work if the majority doesn't have to earn its existence. And the fact is they don't anymore.
Mendham understands that. In fact, I think he might disagree with that. We might say that evolution doesn't matter anymore, or that we're not evolving anymore. But we'll never transcend evolution. We are evolving. And
that's just a lie. We're not evolving by natural selection, okay? Natural selection is not imposing its will. All the systems are broken down. The use of condoms are destroying the evolutionary process. So the natural selection isn't even natural selection anymore. And there's no intelligent selection. So it's outside of all selection process. There's no selection process that has any correlation to anything that could be called a rational likelihood of producing a positive result. All of the correlations are negative. All the correlations are connected to people who have diseases, that they got fixed in their childhood and they're still reproducing. All kinds of negative influences are making us genetically weaker and more dysfunctional. Less likely to be productive. Less likely to be tool enabled.
it's going to determine our future. We can't act outside of that frame. We can't escape from the laws of nature. Nature of life, because life reproduces to excess, and then the excess is cold. Because
obviously it's not for the purpose of excess, it's for the purpose of engineering perfection. So it's a gang war that every genetic individual is committing against the world, attempting to take it over. And yes, but how you want to describe the fact that evolution runs on the idea of destroying more product, okay, than it ever preserves. So, I mean, the waste is in huge proportions. 99% waste for 1% value.
There's a competition over finite resources. So many more are created than could possibly make it to adulthood and reproduce themselves. An example.
Right. So again, there's nothing to defend about evolution as a mechanism for creation, because it kills 99% of the product in a brutally harsh and ungraceful and indecent and expensive way. It also destroys the winners. That's the joke of it, right? They get drowned in the quicksand too. But they get to get laid and have a few fun perks before that happens. And that's the only difference. It's a terrible game, Meat Grinder. It's just too stupid. I mean, tap dancing, on top of the bodies as they're going in, and eventually your shoe is going to get stuck on, somebody's ear, and you're going to get dragged in too. I mean, it's just too stupid. It's deservedly mocked.
And often uses is the octopus.
Well, what I often use now are examples that emphasize the fact that this is a child molestation, that this is no better than you endorsing a sadistic killer of children, somebody who molests and mass murders children, because the predominance of the victims will be little baby lions and little baby zebras and little baby everythings. And they're going to be torn to pieces, in all kinds of stages of their maturation. So it's just, you might as well just imagine a bunch of little 13-year-old girls, trapped under gas trucks, burning to death. And that's what you're endorsing for whatever it is you think human beings are doing. It's so fucking spectacular. You're saying it's okay. And I'm saying you're worse than, you're worse than a Hitler, frankly. You're worse than the guards at the concentration camps. You're worse than the worst villains. To sit there and say that it's okay with you. You don't mind watching it, participating in it, talking about it, maligning it, trivializing it.
And endorsing it. So again, he's endorsing this mass murder. He's endorsing it. So what can you say? Yeah, I mean, there's not a steamroller big enough to get you what you deserve.
Doing all this horse shit, because you don't have to endure it in your little life. And your little brain is so small that you can't figure out that your life is just one tiny shred of what the whole game is. And that you will, in fact, but you're too stupid to understand, you will, in fact, live it, because something will live it. And all the somethings are, in a sense, the same something, because it's a Borg. You're just a robot. And yes, you came out this way this time, but you'll come out that way the next time, and you'll play the roles. All the roles are going to be played by the same thing called a consciousness. And
yes, we'll act every part over and over and over again, so you will never win. You're going to be the slave, more times than you're going to be the plantation owner. And you're going to be the loser a lot more times than you're going to be the winner. Over and over and over again.
subjecting it to molestation, torture, and death for absolutely no good, rational reason. You're just a trite, silly person defending molestation and murder.
There. Now, he should answer now, right? I mean, so another quite good speech by me. Frankly, the conversation's over. I have decidedly won. He's not going to come back with any counter argument to that dismal and horrid reality.
Disgusting.
All right. You can see his rhetoric pretty well there, his use of emotionally charged rhetoric to...
Yes, it's well-earned emotional charge. Well-earned. It should be emotionally charged. It should be, I should have an emotional reaction just even thinking about the horrible molestations that take place in nature. Just even thinking about it should provoke emotional reaction. And imagining it, turned into something more human-centric. I should imagine little girls trapped under gas trucks without having an emotional experience. That's his argument. It's silly to have an emotional experience when you imagine such things. That's his argument. No, it's perfectly legitimate, perfectly consistent with my own self-preservation instincts and my own notions of what I would find unacceptable if it happened to me. I mean, again, I'm acting selfishly in recognizing the emotional urgency. It's my own self-interest we're talking about. Again, if you understand that you got here through a process that doesn't make you special, and the next time you're going to be born in Bangladesh or being born somewhere else, consciousness will arise almost anywhere. It will. And those individuals are just as real as you are. So, I mean, again, I don't understand how I'm supposed to imagine my own, the horror of imagining myself having to live those lives. Why that shouldn't emotionally bludgeon me. Of course it should. It should provoke the flight response.
Basically to convey value judgments and to sort of sneak them in the back door. He's using these...
Nothing was snuck in the back door, right? So this is not a counter argument. He's trying to say my argument was somehow unreasonable or irrational, when obviously he can't do that. It's completely consistent with what we see happening in the world. So again, it's just such a lie. And so instead of answering the point, which is life is horribly expensive, he's just again trying to deny the existence of the expense by saying those are just words. When, no, they're not just words. There's words correlated to reality.
Terms molestation and murder as a metaphor for life. And like what he's describing by defending molestation and murder is me analyzing and critiquing apholism. So basically my philosophical analysis of apholism, or a critique of it...
You didn't do any of that, though. You didn't philosophically analyze anything. You said it was psychological. You didn't deal with it as an argument at all, as a statement regarding the truth. You didn't explain the goods that are separate from advancing yourself from a negative condition. You didn't explain any of it. You didn't counter any of it with an argument. You pretended the argument was invalid when, no, it's perfectly valid. It's a perfectly valid piece of speculation for me to say, oh yeah, all goods are made out of the absence of bads. Unbads are good.
Even gotten to, and will not get to. To him is a defense of molestation and murder. And so I'm, evil, right? Well, of course I've never promoted actual murder or molestation or anything like that. And, I mean, but...
Well, you said you had a right to it, though. You said there's no such thing as rights, and there's no such thing as, these are all just bizarre concepts that don't have anything to do with logic and reasoning. So you already have endorsed it in the sense that you've had some compulsion that told you wanted something, you would just take it. You don't care about what it costs somebody else. You've made it quite clear.
Words that have other meanings, and he's applying them to something that they're not normally applied to, which is life.
All right, so that's absolute bullshit. I mean, the words for suffering and the words for trauma and the words for negative results, and so you're talking about things that happen to things that are clearly bad outcomes, There's no hidden, distortion here. There's just a real description of what happens to things that are born into this world, things with brains, and they're not treated as precious commodities. The crude forces just couldn't care.
That's an old rhetorical trick. You take a word that has moral and emotional significance, such as murder or rape, and then you apply it metaphorically to something else, or you expand the definition to include something else. And that's an attempt.
Well, the molestation is clear. Okay, I didn't use the word rape, by the way, but it fits. So I'm just saying that the idea is that I could use words like dismemberment. I could use more specific language. But what's the necessity? Is there a necessity for me to do that? I mean, having your throat sliced open and bleeding out over the next 3 minutes. I could talk about like its guts being torn out, its abdomen ripped open and its guts trailing behind it, and how it's going to die in about 4 hours, very, very harshly.
To transfer the emotional and moral significance of the word to that other thing, right? Like the way feminists redefine rape to include drunk sex, or sex without enthusiastic consent, or sex in which the woman feels bad about it the next day, or whatever, right? They will expand the definition. And
so, whatever, So, obviously women will do that, yes, he says. I don't think so. I don't think all women do that. I don't think all women don't take responsibility for their part in consent, where, they do have to exactly. It's not a man's fault if they're incoherent, okay? So, unless they have already prearranged the circumstance where she's with somebody she can trust, she's being pretty stupid to say, I'm allowed to be incoherent, and be unable to answer questions, or be doubtfully competent in my capacity to answer questions, and somehow the male is supposed to give her a breathalyzer and figure out how competent she is to answer a question. Well, whatever. I'm just saying that obviously not all women do that.
The reason for doing that is to transfer the moral and emotional significance that is attached to the concept of rape to these other things. And that is what Amendum is doing.
All right, so he's undoing. He's saying this doesn't happen because, there's no harm here at all. This gazelle will not be maimed or injured or damaged. It's not going to be traumatized. And if it gets caught and actually ripped, killed, it's not going to go through some horrible experience while it's being killed. Okay. Now, obviously, nature's going to kill it some other way. So it doesn't matter whether the cheetah's chasing it or not, because we know if the cheetah didn't chase it and kill it, that it's going to get an infection, it's going to get old, it's going to get dilapidated, some other kind of terrible worm is going to eat a hole in its, nasal cavity and eat its brain, and all kinds of horrible diseases and terrible conditions will overcome the animal, and it'll be tortured by nature in some other way. And that very few animals gracefully die quickly. Most of them have to die hard.
Okay. And, this is hypocritical, given that Amendum is complaining about me redefining words. Even though that is a lie, I don't redefine words. But he's complaining.
I mean, it's just insane, really, just to say that I'm not allowed to use the word molestation to describe this event. I mean, it's just silly. It's silly.
About me, like, using the wrong words and redefining words and stuff like that. And then he turns around and, basically redefines words. Uses these misleading metaphors. And there's another way in which this is...
All right, so anyway, I'm just saying that any reasonable person, if you can make some kind of rational argument that I somehow misused the metaphor or made the analogies too gratuitous or any of that crap, again, I haven't used... I'm not even using the image of them feeding on the carcasses and all that other crap. I'm not using the goriest images. I'm not even using the goriest language. Molestation is not the worst word in the world. I mean, so this is just such bullshit. I mean, to play this game as if I have to come up with some sort of perfect language to describe the exact conscious experience of the fact that there'll be a brutal, unpleasant, destruction of the bodily functions of the gazelle. I have to say that in some sort of, technical way, clinical way? to satisfy you, when clearly we can all understand it as crush, kill, destroy. As even cartoon language can get it right. We're all scared of a robot. If a robot's coming at you going, crush, kill, destroy, crush, you get it. Okay? It's not bringing you a cupcake. You don't need any complex verbiage. You don't need him to say, I will eviscerate you and will stop the blood from flowing through certain veins and then I will blah, blah, blah. He doesn't need to do all that crap. Crush, kill, destroy does it for you. You get the idea.
Hypocritical, which is actually kind of more interesting, which is that it is an implicit appeal to intuitive morality, right? Like murder and molestation are considered morally...
So, again, intuitive. No, I'll go back to the simple testimony. I'm a conscious being, so you can't fool me with this bullshit, right? I mean, I'm not resorting to anything beyond the fact of what I know I wouldn't like having happen to me. So again, I'm just analogizing. If that was me, I would be upset with this circumstance. I'd say, no, there should be a law against this. This shouldn't be happening. I don't deserve that. I didn't sign up for that. That's horse shit. Okay, so that's all it is. So this is just such bullshit to say what people can't understand, that they wouldn't want this to happen to them. They wouldn't want to be slaves. They wouldn't want to be fed to lions. They wouldn't know. I mean, I could go all those circumstances that happened in history. They wouldn't want to be sold as a wife to any old fucking pig. They wouldn't want. I mean, they could figure out that, yeah, I wouldn't want that happening to me. Damn right I wouldn't. And so he's calling that intuitive or emotional, when that's just basic, fact of life. I mean, that is so visceral and so obvious that. He's a pathetic liar if he says he doesn't want to say the same thing, that he wouldn't sign up for these roles that people are playing now in the world. He wouldn't agree that those are ethical or fair or reasonable circumstances if it was happening to him.
By most people, not in some philosophical sense, but just intuitively. They are intuitively viewed as evil. But most people are not ethilists, right? Most people view life as good, and murder is bad because you're depriving someone of their life, which is valuable.
Most people almost eat their own poo. I mean, they find that out. They don't even wash their hands. They're eating their own poo. Most people do lots of things and say lots of things and think lots of things. Most people are really stupid. So again, the argument is not about, when humans will grow up in a more substantial numbers. The arguments are, though, that in countries that are more civilized, people do wash their hands and there's less poo on them. So there are places in the world where people are educated and more mature, and they do pass laws against all kinds of acts of molestation because they know it's inefficient.
To them. So they're not ethilists, and ordinary moral judgments do not derive from ethilism's moral theory, right? They're not based on this sort of, consequentialist...
Ordinary morality doesn't derive. Well, why would I want to derive ordinary morality? That would be retarded. Ordinary morality is deficient. Clearly, that's why I even am something. If I found the world sufficient and was functional and working, I wouldn't be an ethilist then. I'm something as opposed to that thing, because that thing isn't the right thing. That thing isn't got it right. That thing isn't efficient. That thing isn't sensible. That thing isn't logical. That's why there's solar panels on fucking roofs. Is because humans aren't very logical. Fuck.
Approach where you try to calculate the hedonic footprint of your actions or something like that. They're just intuitive.
So again, hedonic footprint. Nobody's ever said that in the history of mankind. And so he says he's not playing word games, and he says something nobody's ever said before in the history of mankind. It's just idiotic. Hedonic footprint? There's no such thing. I mean, it's just too silly. So anyway, this guy is just so pathetic. So I don't know if this is worth the trouble. I mean, it's an awful lot of time wasted on one wacky, insane, kook, nihilist piece of shit. But there are people who do, pretend they can isolate themselves from the entire evolution of sentience on planet Earth and not understand that they are part of a continuum, part of a system of organized cellular life, and that we all share this feature of being able to experience an ouch, and that's a huge, gigantic change in the manifestation of matter. Matter that can experience an ouch is completely different than matter that can't, in the sense that it has a feature that is just so different than any other material feature. And it's just hard to believe that anybody who can, who knows a few thousand literate words and has some idea of concepts can be stupid enough to deny that simple truth, that having a brain that can manifest experience is a game changer. But anyway, so I don't know where I am on this video, so I guess I should figure that out so we know. It's probably another half hour down, right? Hour and 18 minutes. Oh, I didn't get that far. Fuck. Yeah, we're not even halfway through this shit. So maybe I'll take notes. I mean, he's just going to keep saying the same thing. Hedonic, moral, hedonic, moral, hedonic, moral, hedonic, moral, right? Well, let's just jump through and see. It'll be the same crap over and over again. I guess I have to close the picture thing. Try that.
Direction that most people view as good, right? It's dysgenic. Therefore, they say we're not evolving. But it's the same process. Whatever reproduces now is going to leave behind more copies. So whatever works to make a human being reproduce in this environment will reproduce, and it will be
right. So, but it's all dysfunctional parts, right? So again, he's just denying something that's kind of obvious. The people who are reproducing are not the winners. Okay, they're not the ones that meant the trial and won. They're the ones who have been bottom feeding. Who are not functional. They don't have any mission in life. They don't have any purpose. They don't have any function. They don't go to school. They don't get an education. They're doing all the other things. They're the failures, not the successes, by a vast majority. So the vast majority of children are born to people who aren't winning and aren't succeeding. So obviously they are not going to acquire any quality genetic functionality because they already have a dysfunction. They're already not succeeding. They're living outside the tribe on the garbage. So the animals that didn't succeed at winning in the tribal circumstance, that is, they lost the tribal competition and they're feeding off the garbage from the tribe, they're the ones breeding more successfully because they're not using condoms, they're not doing all that sensible stuff, they're not appreciating the responsibility it is to have kids and how much work it is and all that kind of stuff. So you're not going to evolve any traits that are conducive to tribal success.
In greater numbers in the future, or as a greater percentage of the population in the future. And in fact, I would say that the human species is evolving faster than ever in this environment of modern civilization, because we have radically changed the environment and the selective pressures on ourselves. And so that's going to speed up the rate of evolution. It's not going to...
I don't know. He's too stupid, right? This is the dumbest argument I think I've ever heard. Anyone who thinks we are pedigreeing, the whole point of evolution is to acquire more skills that give you more power to win, not the other way around. And obviously our society keeps the failures alive and allows the failures to breed, provides them the resources to do so. So again, this is an idiotic argument. Idiocracy is winning.
But he thinks he doesn't. And I don't know why he would complain about the word naturalism, except he doesn't know what it means.
I know. I think it's a silly. There's no such thing. Naturalism. There's no word. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as nature. There's no such thing. So again, why would I play with a word like it? So it just, that's your kind of little queer thing. You like to shove up your anus. I don't have to shove it up mine. You play with that, you little queer. Yeah.
Oh, disgusting.
Did I say nothing matters? No.
Yeah, you did. Okay, you have. As long as it's not what you want. So anything that doesn't have something to do with what you hedonically want, what you're horny for, doesn't matter. You've clearly made the statement. So we're already done with you. You're an idiot.
He's just lying again. I said that hedonism situates value in subjective experience.
So he keeps saying it. Subjective experience, as if subjective experience isn't a real experience. So every time these people say subjective, what they really mean is not real. That's all they're trying to say. That somehow the experience doesn't have any meaning or substance or validity because it's subjective. Because it's happening to an individual Coke machine. Somehow the Coke machine isn't really producing Coke. Yeah, it is. It's really producing experience. It's having one. It's that simple. Coke machines make Coke cans, produce. We produce experience. And experiences are valuable.
Which is exactly what it does. Feelings are subjective.
Oh, so he says it again. So there's just no point, right? It's just too stupid. He just keeps trying to weasel out of the existence of feelings meaning something when he knows his feelings do. And he's just trying to find an excuse to say their feelings don't. And it's that stupid. He's like the ultimate racist. Everyone else but him. Yeah. He's the only real consciousness.
I mean, it's a trivial good.
Alright, so there he talked about the yin and yang of pain and pleasure. Like zero sum, this would make more sense applied to my beliefs than to Amendum's. I believe that pain and pleasure are like yin and yang. They are symmetric, and they balance each other out.
Okay, so there's no point, right? We know they're not distributed that way, so it's just silly. So it's just more baby talk. I mean, this has no correlation to the reality, and certainly no correlation to the analogies provided from nature, where that clearly demonstrate that there is the failures way outnumber the successes, and the things that are living the comfortable life is a small percentage to the ones living the hard and brutal and terrible life. So again, just absolute horseshit.
That kind of criticism, but because like 1 minute he seems to believe that pleasure is negative pain, the next minute he thinks it's something that causes a reduction in pain, then he says it doesn't exist. So yeah, maybe it's kind of hard to accurately describe whatever the fuck that is.
Oh no, I've been quite clear about it. So again, there's nobody has any real hard confusion. I'm saying that basically there's, I won't rule out the possibility that there's some good that can possibly be experienced that doesn't derive from the absence of a negative, but I'm saying that I can imagine none and I can know of none. That everything I know to be good that happens to me is eradication or elimination or prevention of a bad.
But yeah, at most you could say that I was giving Amendum too much credit for being rational. Okay, that's like the harshest criticism you could make there.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck you, you're a turd. Obnoxious turd. So I don't know. People obviously subscribe to this retard's channel. He has a following, so maybe I'll just follow his comment section, just see what kind of lunatics show up. But I mean, it's this is the philosophy of mass murderers. This isn't the philosophy of anybody worth a damn.
Looking down on all the sentient beings and valuing all of their fees equally. I make them from my perspective as a subject, using my value theory or my emotions.
As a subject. So again, he's he thinks he's the only subject, and everybody else is just a non-existent as anything meaningful. It's just they're only meaningful in as, can I eat them? Can I, polish my penis in them? Can I do this? Can I do that? That's all they are to him. Amazing piece of shit.
But pleasure can be dismissed as perceptual error, some kind of illusion. You're just imagining it.
No, I've never said that. So what I've said is it's a painkiller. Okay, the fact is you do certain things and it eliminates your pain. It takes away, for the moment, some fears and worries and tensions and so especially as you get older you realize this so much more because you have all of these subtle aches. You really don't realize they're there throughout the day until you go to sleep and you're just like, oh fuck, I hear that. I hear my knee. Oh, I hear my arm. You hear it. Okay, and it's kind of obvious that if somebody or something could relieve all of that tension and pain, you'd be quite fucking delirious.
And this is so hypocritical, I just have to point it out. But again, I don't value pleasure, and Mendham is just making up bullshit.
So whatever, he doesn't value pleasure. He doesn't value pain either. He doesn't value anything. Yeah, bullshit.
Conflict. I'm not saying there's a contradiction exactly, but there's a kind of conflict in this, which I'll explain later. I'll try to.
Oh yeah, you'll try to what? Throw more wasted words on a mission to sit there and negate the meaning of suffering. Conscious suffering doesn't mean anything.
It's a little bit hard to explain.
So yeah, just that's right there. I said something. Conscious suffering doesn't mean anything. He's saying that's true, and it's just too idiotic. My own experience denies its truth. So I'm saying right off the bat, everything I've experienced about feelings, they're quite significant. And all I'm doing that's different than him is that I'm fair copying the rest of the world and saying, yeah, they're just as real as I am. They're not fake. They're not plastic people. They're not plastic animals. They're not made out of wax. They're not different than I am. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're struggling to feel good. And that's what they're doing. And it's important that they feel good.
All right, so those were the foundations.
As long as it's in them. I mean, when I have it, it means something. But yeah, of course, when it's happening to the rest of the universe, who the fuck cares? That's always defending.
I'm unapologetically selfish. I don't believe in good and evil.
Okay, there we go. I don't believe in good and bad. All right, so again, he had to use evil, right? Why? So he doesn't believe in bad outcomes. He doesn't believe in the fact that other human beings have a welfare stake that's just as important as his, and his brain was going to be logical, and if his brain values his own welfare, there's no reason for his brain not to value the welfare of the other brains, because they're doing exactly the same thing. They're feeling good or feeling bad, and that's the thing that I value my brain doing. Why wouldn't I value the other brains also feeling good? It would be idiotic for me to think there's winning in making those brains feel bad and my brain feel good at their expense. That's idiotic. So really, we should end right there. I mean, he just admitted his nihilism. He can't understand that the phenomenon of consciousness is a material function. Neurons make it happen, and it does happen as an event in the universe, and the event is distinctly different than all the other events. Chalk falling, all the other events aren't the same as the perception created in a brain of sensation. It's just that different. And it would be idiotic for me to say it wouldn't matter if you tortured me for, you made 1 billion of me and you tortured them for 1 billion years, just as good as not doing it. I know that can't be the right answer. I know it because I've experienced it as just one individual, and I just know me being tortured forever would be a really bad thing. Yeah, I know it. I would never sign a piece of paper saying, oh yeah, go ahead and do it for 10 cents, for $10, for $10 billion. I wouldn't sign the paper. I clearly am quite aware that it matters and it's important. And I have no logical reason not to believe it matters for all the other people and animals. Now, some animals more so than others. I mean, this little fellow is very colorful. Not much of a brain, but he's got one. And the fact is, he can be rewarded and punished by his psychology. He can feel good and he can feel bad. And it's important that he feel good. It's important that everybody say, if it doesn't cost them anything but just raising their hand and say, I vote for him to feel good, that they would at least do that. You know, that's a nice minimum. I vote for him to feel good. I have no reason to vote against it. No good reason. So anyway, really it's, evolution. It's just, we are, we have a brain, our intelligence is very fancy like that. It's very fancy. But that's the funny thing about evolution. All of the fancy details, all of the intricate little bits and parts, and all of the nuance built into these other organisms, even the funny little hands, you just wonder how exactly those were to an advantage. And, it's just, you can just go through all those little bits. And it's a huge manufacturing task, that this biology is able to manufacture that kind of complexity. But they all have their kind of complexity. They all have their toolkit. Our intelligence is just a tool, like his long tongue. We don't even see it, but he has this, 7-inch tongue. And so we have a different kind of tool, and kind of boring other features, But anyway, leave you with that. Interesting animals. So, enough of a video. Until the next time, and such. So I was, I guess I forgot that he's just a dopey nihilist. I wouldn't have wasted the time, because there's no point. There's no axioms for which we can have a common grounded conversation, clearly. My number one fact is not his. So this just can't work that way. You have to have some kind of common ground, and we don't have any common ground. Zero. Save. Yeah, that's the one I want. Save. Okay. So, till the next time and such.